Hey, it's Max with Guitar Center. We're here at the Boss booth at Winter NAMM 2025, and we are talking with John about the all-new Boss WAZA Tube Amp Expander Core. John, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great today. Great to have you out.
So tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
I'd love to. So the WAZA Tube Expander Core is designed for guitar players that have tube amplifiers. We all know that if you have tube amplifiers, a lot of times those things need to be cranked up to reach a sweet spot where the power tubes are cooking, everything's reacting, the speakers are going. And to hit that sweet spot usually means that at that point you're hearing a knock on the door from the police, right? So there's always been people trying to kind of come up with a solution for that. How do we get these amplifiers to sound amazing, but at a much more controllable and reasonable volume? And that's where the WAZA Tube Expander Core comes in. It's based off its big brother, the WAZA Tube Amp Expander, but we've shrunk it down, made it easier to carry around, smaller so it fits on a desk. So for a home studio environment, studio recording session, or even taking to gigs, it's going to be an awesome choice. Lightweight, small, compact, and super powerful, as you're about to find out.
So as you were talking about, obviously one of the key things is just getting great tone without upsetting your neighbors, put it politely. But that's very clearly not all it does. I mean, we've got it hooked up to a laptop here. I'm seeing microphone selection, cabinet selection. We're actually going out line from this. So let's dig in a little deeper. What does this offer?
So we'll start over here on the very far left of the controller is where we control the reactive load. And the reactive load is the interaction between the guitar amp and the speaker, really. And guitar players can feel it. It's one of those things you can feel in your pick, you can feel in your fingers. And this gives you a couple choices. Unlike its bigger brother, we've simplified it and made it easier for you to dial in your sound right away. So in this case, you have a combo setting or a stack setting. So it's really just picking one or the other. Stack setting is going to be a little bigger, beefier, fuller sounding. Combo is going to be a little more classic, vintage sounding. Pick one or the other, move forward, you're good to go. And as I go across here, we see we have our familiar rig control settings. So once I have everything dialed in the way I like it, I can save 10 preset rigs so that I can get back to them with just the click of a button. Or if you get the actual BT Dual Bluetooth adapter, you can even do a foot switch on this too if you like.
So to that end, so you've got 10 preset rigs. So what's that going to encompass?
10 preset rigs are going to encompass everything, all the settings, which is going to include all the internal effects, which we're going to get to see in a moment. So that's going to be your compressor, your delay, your reverb, your parametric EQs, your air settings, all the stuff that comprises your full sound, including your selected cabinets. If you're an IR person, it's going to include those as well. Your microphone settings, where you put them, how you blended them, it includes all of it. Okay, so next down the line, what we have is our air field. So this is going to be based on the same spatial technology that we used in the Boss WAZA Air headphones. And what's really great about that is it gives you that amp in the room vibe and the spatial 3D thing going on through headphones when you're practicing. And this is adjustable. So even right now, playing directly through the line here, I have it totally off, but I can bring it up a little bit if I want and add a little bit of extra dimension. So it gives a little more mojo, a little more magic, right? That's all fully adjustable, and that's on top of the included reverb that we're going to be looking at. So you're not sacrificing one to get the other. Going on down the line here, across the bottom, I have my different level outs. These are all smooth, graduated controls. So whether I'm going to my speaker, which is right behind you on the wall of amps here, or whether I'm going to my line or front of house, which is what we're doing here in this setup, or whether I'm using my headphones, all the controls are just smooth, gradual, no steps, no jerking around in between settings. So beautiful. Okay, now if it's okay, we're gonna actually jump from the device itself over to looking at what some of the options are inside the device by looking at our editor. And I'm gonna go to the actual regular part of the editor, is we're looking at the signal path. And over on the far left, you see there's our input, which represents the amp and the sound that's coming from the speaker output on that amp. We have an adjustable effects loop, which is right here. So if you have effects at home that you want to incorporate, because a lot of old amps, plexis, things like that, they don't have effects loops, they don't have master volumes, they don't have any of these things. But now we can take an advantage of that by incorporating them within the Tube Amp Expander core. So in this case, right now, I have a little bit of some tremolo going on here. And this could be any pedal of yours, just anything that you have that you love that you don't want to part with. If it's not already in here, you can add it in just by putting in the effects loop. And this is programmable. Whether it's on or off will actually be part of what you do with this. And save it to one of your preset settings. As we go a little farther across over here, you're going to notice on the screen we also have a compressor, we have a delay, and a reverb. They are all fully adjustable. As you click on them, you can choose to turn them on or off. You can hit the drop-down menu and select which one that you like. As you go across here, let's look at our delays. And one of my favorites here that I absolutely love is the classic SDE 3000 delays. All the old hair metal guys and old guys like me are going to know exactly what that is. But you have options here. So you can do your stereo, your analog, your pans, all of those delays, plus all the settings that you see, and also reverb as well. So now reverb, my different reverb types, plates, halls, rooms, springs, all that can be adjusted, dialed in exactly the way you want it, and saved to one of the preset rigs.
So that makes sense, as far as if you've got the app itself up on your computer, on an iPhone, let's say. Let's say maybe you're working with something like MainStage or a DAW. Is this MIDI mappable as well if you wanted to program that?
It's full MIDI input, so all these controls you're going to be able to access over MIDI as well, or through the foot switch that we talked about if you want to go wireless. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, probably another thing we could move into too that's kind of new to this core model, unlike its bigger brother, is the cab mic up here, along with what we call mix assist. So right off the get-go, you see we have a 412 cabinet selected. We're using an SM57 with the Royer going into that. All of these can be adjustable. You can move them around to the place in the speaker that you want, wherever you'd like. You can adjust over here if you want to be really precise and put them wherever you'd like. You can adjust the level of them. And you can also go in and pick different cabinets. Maybe a 412's not your thing. That's totally okay. You can go down the list here, pick from core 10s. We got tweed combos, 212s, 112 tweeds, all kinds of stuff. And the mics can be blended. They can be panned to different parts of the stereo field, so you get a nice big wide sound. And for all the other musicians that have gone down the rabbit hole of IRs, yes, I am one of them, you can actually access IRs directly and blend them as well. Comes standard stock with 10 Celestion IRs that we include in the package. They're going to be in there as soon as you unbox it, as well as being able to load up to 64 of your own IRs. And one thing that I'm kind of showing you here, which is really neat and unique to this, is the fact that now the IR loader in this is part of the actual editor. You don't have to open a separate IR loader like you used to have to before. Makes it a lot easier to work.
And so those IRs, it's not that you're just loading it into the editor. Those are actually getting dropped onto the unit. So whether you're using it with a computer or not, they're in there.
You nailed it. You nailed it. And then all you do is recall that rig the way you had it, and boom, you're set to go. So whether you go into the Soundman and you get consistent sound every time, you can count on it. It's predictable. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so what else can you show us on this?
Well, the only other thing I could show you basically is just a little bit of some of the sound and the feel of it. And the feel's tricky because you're going to have to take my word for it as a guitar player. But I got to tell you, after playing this, it's amazing to me how the sound of the Bad Cat that we have going on behind you here, we have that thing cranked up a little bit over half. So in a real world environment, if this were not there, that thing would be blowing people's faces off, right? So, but now at a controllable volume, I have it going straight through this system. And now we have really easy to control. And the great thing too, is if I let up on my pick attack or change the volume, the amp cleans up. It behaves exactly like it would if I wasn't using the Tube Expander core in here, but yet now manageable volume. I get all the magic, all the mojo, all the fun stuff out of that tube amp at a volume that's completely controllable. In fact, we could have a conversation over it, no problem, you know? And not all reactive load attenuators can do that properly to where they keep all the mojo and the vibe of the real amp. So this one does an incredible job at that.
So we were looking on the screen. There's a bunch of different cabs in there. I'm wondering if you could kind of just give us like a quick sampling of them. Maybe just give us a chord through 4 or 5 different cabs.
See what they sound like. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what are we going to start with?
So right now, we'll start with what we have up here on the screen. And this one is going to be, if I hit this little button right here, we see we're currently on the 412 standard cab setting, and that's going to give us something like this. But there's lots to choose from in this list. So if I want to, let's go down a little more and experiment with some other things. Let's try, well, how about a 412 with greenbacks and V30s? Got a lot brighter all of a sudden, it's got that sound. Yep, let's try a couple more. So now let's say we want something maybe not quite so big and beefy, maybe in the 212 territory or 112. Let's try a Tweed Deluxe, see what happens there. And it's got that vibe. Yeah.
Very nice. So quite a bit of flexibility just out of the box, let alone bring in your own IRs, move the mics around, all that stuff. John, thank you so much for that demo. We can really hear the sonic range that these are going to offer, in addition to just a lot of really good utilitarian stuff that your neighbors, your spouse, your roommate, whatever, will definitely appreciate. Perhaps the most important question, how soon are these going to be available?
Great question. You're going to see these start shipping out probably about a week or so.
Thank you so much. If you want to learn more about the all-new Boss WAZA Tube Amp Expander Core, head to guitarcenter.com and stay tuned to our YouTube channel for all the latest new from NAMM.